The night was quiet, but the sky above Earth was not. Far beyond the clouds, something massive moved in silence. A giant shadow drifted in orbit, hidden from human eyes. It was not a comet, not a satellite. It was a ship. A ship built not by humans, but by minds far older and colder. Inside the vessel, the air was heavy with strange lights and the sound of machines. Alien figures stood in a circle, their tall bodies covered with metallic armor. Their skin was pale, their eyes like black mirrors. They spoke in a language of clicks and sharp tones, yet their intent was clear. Study humans, then destroy them. One of them pressed his clawed hand against a glowing screen. Images of Earth appeared: cities, forests, oceans, and human beings, moving through their daily lives. Fragile, the alien leader hissed. His voice echoed like steel grinding on stone. So soft, so easy. One strike at their heart, and they fall. Break their organs, and they are nothing. Another alien nodded. Yes, they bleed fast. They cry. They cannot endure. The leader's black eyes narrowed. Then we begin. The ship opened a dark chamber, a space that smelled of cold iron. In the center lay a human soldier, taken from Earth without warning. His eyes flickered open. He gasped, confused, struggling against restraints of glowing chains. Where am I? His voice trembled, but anger burned inside. The aliens circled him like hunters around prey. One bent forward, studying the soldier's chest. This one is strong, it whispered. But his organs will betray him. The soldier spat on him. Floor, you think I'm weak? Try me. The leader raised his sharp instrument. We do not try, we test. The tool sliced the air with a hiss. A moment later, pain ripped through the soldier's body. His chest shuddered as the alien removed something vital. The humans on Earth would have called it the kidney. To the aliens, it was proof of weakness. The soldier screamed, his body twisting in pain. The aliens leaned closer, waiting for silence. Waiting for death. But silence never came. The soldier's eyes burned with rage. His breathing slowed, but it did not stop. His skin grew pale, yet his heart still beat. He looked straight at the alien leader and whispered through clenched teeth. Still here. The aliens froze. This is not possible, one hissed. The organ is gone. He should be dead. Another pressed its claw to the soldier's neck. Life signs still strong. The leader stepped back, his voice sharp. Impossible. He should be nothing now. The soldier laughed, a broken sound but filled with defiance. You don't know us. You don't know what it takes to kill a human. The aliens stared at him as if he were a monster. They whispered in their strange tongue, their voices tight with fear. Maybe. Another test. One suggested that the leader's hand shook with anger. Do it. Take more. Find their limit. The chamber filled with light again, and another sharp strike cut into the soldier. Blood spread across his uniform, but his eyes did not close. He groaned, weak but alive. His voice was heavy, but it carried a strange strength. You think we break so easy? You're wrong. The aliens stepped back this time. They had seen humans fall before in their history records, but never like this. This one refused death. He was not a victim. He was a storm held inside a fragile body. For the first time, the aliens felt something new, not superiority, not power, but doubt. The leader whispered, almost to himself. What are they? The soldier leaned forward, his chains rattling. His voice was low, dangerous. We are the ones you should fear. The lights in the chamber flickered. For a moment, the room fell into shadows, and only the soldier's breathing filled the air. The aliens, so confident before, now felt unease crawl under their skin. The leader forced himself to stand tall. Take him back to the cell. We will study more. We will find the weakness. But even as he spoke, he knew something had shifted. The experiment was not proof of weakness. It was proof of something terrifying. As the soldier was dragged away, he laughed again, soft but sharp, echoing down the metallic hallways of the alien ship. "You made a mistake. You think we're fragile. You'll see." The aliens exchanged glances. For the first time, their black mirror eyes did not look like hunters. They looked like prey. The ship remained in orbit, quiet as a shadow, but inside its walls, fear had taken root. The humans were not as fragile as they seemed. They were something else. Something dangerous. The leader stood before the glowing screen again, watching the spinning Earth below. Billions of humans lived on its surface, moving, breathing, surviving. His claws tapped against the glass, but his thoughts were clouded. How many of them can endure this? He asked softly. If one survives, what about thousands? What about millions? No one answered. The silence was louder than any words. The soldiers' defiant laughter still echoed in their minds. And in that moment, the aliens understood one terrible truth. Killing humans might not be as simple as cutting organs. It might be impossible. The alien ship was silent, yet inside, unease grew like fire. The soldiers' survival had shaken them. What was meant to be a simple test now felt like a warning. The leaders had no answers, only questions. In the medical chamber, another human lay on a metal bed. This time, it was a woman. She was younger, a scientist from Earth, taken in the same silent way, pulled from her lab without warning, trapped in chains of light. Her eyes darted around the strange room, her breathing fast but steady. An alien scientist leaned close, his black eyes reflecting her face. "This one looks weaker," he hissed. "Her body will tell us more," the leader nodded. "Do it. Break her. Find the truth." The woman stared at them. Her voice trembled, but her words were sharp. "You don't understand humans. You think you can study us like animals, but you will never win." The alien tilted his head. "We do not need to win. We only need to know how you break." The tools lit up with cold blue light. One alien moved closer, pressing a sharp device against her side. The woman gasped as pain surged through her, but she bit her lip, refusing to scream. "Begin extraction," the leader ordered. The device sank deeper, and soon, one of her organs was removed. The alien stood in silence, waiting for her body to collapse, waiting for the end, but she did not fall. Her face was pale, sweat rolled down her skin, but her eyes stayed open. She whispered, almost laughing through the pain, "Still breathing." The aliens stepped back, shocked. One of them checked the glowing monitors. Her life signs, strong. She should not be alive. The leader growled. Again, "Remove more." The second organ was cut away. Blood filled the air with a metallic smell. The woman shuddered, her body trembling on the table. The aliens leaned closer, certain she was seconds from death, but she lifted her head. Her lips curled into a weak smile. "You don't get it, do you? Humans don't die so easy." The aliens froze. Their perfect science was breaking apart in front of them. Everything they believed about human biology, fragile, weak, simple, was turning into a nightmare. The leader's voice shook. "This cannot be. They are not machines. They are not built to endure this." Another alien whispered, "Perhaps they are something more. Perhaps their weakness is only an illusion." The chamber grew colder as the silence deepened. Suddenly, the woman spoke again, her voice ragged but filled with strength. "You think pain destroys us, but pain is where we grow stronger." The leader slammed his claw against the table, furious but afraid. "Enough. Return her to the cell. We must study deeper. Humans are not what we thought." As she was dragged away, the woman's eyes met the soldier's across the hallway. He was still chained, still bleeding from his own test. Their gazes locked, and in that moment, no words were needed. They both knew they were not victims. They were survivors. The aliens, however, gathered in a private chamber, The leader spoke in a low, sharp tone. 2 humans. 2 impossible results. They should both be dead, yet they endure. This breaks all laws we know. 1 alien, smaller than the rest, hesitated before speaking. Maybe they do not need every organ. Maybe their bodies adapt. The leader's eyes narrowed. Adapt? That is not survival. That is evolution. Another voice joined in. If they can live without parts, how many parts can we remove before they fall? 1? 2? 10? The thought chilled even the aliens. If humans could endure such destruction, what else could they survive? In the darkness of the cells, the soldier whispered to the woman. His voice was weak but steady. They don't understand us. They think we're machines with wires. They don't see the truth. The woman nodded, wincing from her wounds. They don't know the human will. They don't know what it means to fight to the last breath. The soldier smirked despite the blood on his lips. Then let's show them. Meanwhile, the alien leader ordered more tests. He would not stop until he had answers. The humans were dragged out again, their bodies cut, tested, pushed beyond natural limits. But no matter what was taken, no matter how much pain they suffered, their eyes still glowed with fire. Each scream was followed by silence. Each silence was broken by breath. Again and again, the aliens began to whisper among themselves. There. Fear grew like a shadow. They do not break. They endure everything. They are not prey. One scientist finally dared to speak against the leader. If humans survive this much, perhaps they are not the weak species. Perhaps they are the most dangerous. The leader snarled, but could not answer. The evidence was in front of him, bleeding but alive. The humans were returned to their cells once more, their bodies torn, but their spirits unbroken. As the alien guards left, the woman leaned close to the soldier and whispered, "They're afraid of us now." The soldier's eyes narrowed. "Good. Fear is the beginning. Soon we'll make them run." And in the silent halls of the alien ship, for the first time, the hunters felt like the hunted. The alien ship floated above Earth like a shadow, but inside, the silence was filled with tension. The leaders had expected easy experiments, quick answers, and weak test subjects. Instead, every trial left them more uncertain, more afraid. In the dark laboratory, the soldier was strapped once again to the glowing table. The chains of light pressed against his wrists and ankles. His breathing was heavy, but his eyes still carried defiance. Across the room, the scientist woman was locked in her own cell, forced to watch through a glass wall. An alien scientist stood over the soldier, his hands trembling. "This one should have died already," he whispered. The leader growled. "Then take more. If one organ is not enough, take another. Break his body until his spirit falls." The soldier smirked, blood still staining his lips. "Keep trying. You'll see what happens," the alien hissed, furious at the mockery. With a quick motion, the device cut into the soldier's side. The chamber filled with the sound of tearing flesh, but the human screams turned. The corridors of the alien ship stretched like endless tunnels of steel and shadow. Strange lights pulsed through the walls, and the hum of engines echoed everywhere. Yet beneath all the technology, fear lingered. The aliens walked faster now, their black eyes flicking nervously to the sides. In the holding cells, the soldier sat on the floor, his breathing rough but steady. His wounds should have killed him days ago, yet he still lived. The scientist woman leaned against the wall across from him, her body trembling from her own injuries. Even in pain, her voice was calm. "They don't know what to do with us," she whispered. The soldier smirked weakly. "Good, let them wonder. The more they fear us, the closer we get to breaking them." The door hissed open. 2 tall guards stepped inside, their weapons glowing with blue light. One spoke in that sharp alien tongue, then pointed at the woman. The soldier tensed. "Where are you taking her?" The guard didn't answer. He only grabbed the woman by the arm. She struggled, kicking at him, but the alien's grip was strong. The soldier shouted, straining against his chains. "You cowards, fight me instead." The guards dragged the woman down the corridor, her cries echoing against the metal walls. The soldier's fury burned hotter than his pain. His hands pulled against the glowing restraints until his skin split, but still he fought. The woman was brought to a new chamber, darker than the others. A single table stood in the middle, surrounded by strange machines. The alien leader watched from the shadows. "Begin," he ordered. The scientist woman was strapped down, her arms bound tight. She struggled, teeth gritted. "You think chains will stop me? You think pain will break me?" The leader leaned closer, his voice low. "Pain will teach us what you are." The machines came alive with sharp sounds. Metal claws reached toward her body. She bit down hard on her lip, refusing to give the aliens the scream they wanted. The first cut came, and blood spread across her side. But instead of collapsing, she turned her head toward the leader and spat at him. "You don't scare me." The leader froze, his black eyes narrowing. "Why do you resist? What gives you strength?" She smiled, even in agony. "Because I know something you don't. We don't fight alone." At that same moment, alarms rang through the ship. Loud, shrill sounds filled every corridor. The leader turned in shock. "What is this?" The guards looked around, confused, their weapons shaking. Then the walls shook with a heavy boom. Another boom followed, louder. The ship itself trembled. The woman laughed, her voice weak but filled with triumph. "Humans are not helpless. You thought you took us quietly. But Earth is awake now," the leader snarled. "Impossible. They cannot reach us here." But deep inside, doubt burned. He knew Earth's weapons were powerful, their armies relentless. And if even a single signal had escaped, the humans would come. Back in the cell, the soldier heard the alarms. His eyes lit up. "That's our chance." The guards outside rushed away, leaving him alone. He pulled again at the glowing chains. His wrists bled, but he kept pulling, his muscles straining. Finally, with a sharp crack, one chain snapped. He staggered to his feet, his body trembling, but his spirit unbroken. He tore the second chain free, then the last. The door was still locked, but the alarms had shaken the system. A flash of sparks erupted in the lock, and with one hard kick, the door burst open. The soldier stumbled into the hallway, blood dripping down his arms. He grabbed a fallen alien weapon from the ground. The weapon hummed in his hands, strange but deadly. He grinned. "Let's turn the tables." The corridors erupted with chaos. Aliens ran in every direction, shouting in panic. The soldier moved through them like a shadow, striking fast and hard. Wounded though he was, his rage gave him strength. He burst into the chamber where the woman was held. The machines still cut into her, but she looked up and smiled weakly when she saw him. "Took you long enough," she whispered. He blasted the restraints with the alien weapon, freeing her. She fell into his arms, her body weak but her eyes shining. "With fire, can you walk?" he asked. She nodded, even as blood stained her clothes. "I can fight." Together, they moved through the corridors, weapons in hand. Every step was filled with pain, but also with power. The aliens who once called them fragile now fled from their path. The leader watched from the command chamber, his claws shaking. He whispered to himself, "They are not prey. They are something else." Another alien beside him trembled. "If two can do this, what will thousands do?" The leader had no answer. His eyes turned toward the earth outside the window. Billions of humans lived there, each carrying the same fire, the same will. For the first time, the aliens felt true fear, not of losing an experiment, but of facing a species that refused to die. The soldier and the woman reached an airlock. alarms still screaming through the ship. They stood together, side by side, bloodied but unbroken. The woman looked at him and whispered, "They wanted to know our secret." The soldiers smiled grimly. "Let's show them." They pressed the control, and the doors slid open with a roar of air. Beyond was the endless dark of space. But beyond that, Earth glowed bright, alive, unyielding. The aliens who had tried to break them now realized the truth too late. Humans were not fragile. Humans were the storm. The alien ship was no longer calm. Sirens echoed through every corridor, red lights flashing against the cold walls. The air was filled with panic. Guards shouted, doors slammed, and the sound of footsteps ran like thunder through the halls. In the command chamber, the alien leader stood frozen, watching the chaos unfold on glowing screens. He had believed humans were fragile, but everything he had seen told him otherwise. One soldier, one scientist. Both broken, both cut open, and yet both still alive, still fighting. "They are not weak," the leader whispered. His black eyes narrowed. "They are something else. Something we did not prepare for." Another alien scientist approached, his hands trembling. He placed a glowing data slab on the table. "We studied their bodies. We cut, we removed, we destroyed. But they endure. They should not live without so many parts. And yet, they do." The leader turned sharply. "Explain." The scientist's voice shook. "Humans do not need every organ to survive. Their bodies adapt in ways we cannot explain. They carry backups inside themselves, a system beyond our science. It is not logic. It is chaos." The leader hissed, striking the table with his claw. "Impossible." But the evidence glowed on the screens. Images of the soldier and the woman. Their organs missing, their blood spilled, but their hearts still beating. "They should be dead," the scientist whispered. But instead, they grow stronger. Leader's voice dropped into silence. "If they do not die from what kills others, then what are they?" Far below, in the corridors, the soldier and the woman moved through the shadows. They were weak, their bodies battered, but they carried stolen weapons and burning willpower. Every step echoed like a drumbeat of survival. The woman pressed her, hand against her side, blood staining her fingers. "I should be dead," she said softly. The soldier glanced at her, his jaw tight. "We both should, but we're not, and that scares them." She gave a weak smile. "Good, let them be scared." Suddenly, the walls shook with another explosion. The ship groaned as if the universe itself wanted to tear it apart. The soldier steadied her as alarms screamed again. "They can't hold this ship together much longer," he said. "They're too busy trying to understand us," she replied. "That's their mistake. They study while we fight." In the command chamber, the leader barked orders. "Seal the corridors. Do not let them reach the core." But even as his guards scrambled, fear grew heavier. The aliens whispered to each other, their voices sharp with panic. They live without lungs. They fight without kidneys. They walk without blood. They are not prey. They are nightmares. The leader turned on them, furious. "Silence. They are only flesh." But his own voice trembled. At that moment, a screen flickered, with an image of the soldier and the woman moving closer to the engine room. Their steps were slow but unstoppable. "Block them!" the leader shouted. Guards rushed forward, weapons raised. The soldier lifted his stolen alien gun, its blue light burning. He fired, and 2 guards fell in a burst of flame. The woman raised her weapon with shaking hands and shot the lights above, plunging the hall into darkness. Footsteps echoed in the shadows. Alien voices whispered, but they carried fear, not power. Then came the sound of the soldier's voice, low and cold. "You wanted to see how much we can survive. Now you'll see how much we can fight." The guards faltered, their steps uncertain. From her side, the woman spoke, her words sharp like knives. "We don't need to be whole to win. We just need to keep moving." The aliens fired wildly into the dark, but their fear made them miss. The humans struck back, each shot cutting through the panic dot. When the lights returned, the hall was filled with smoke and silence. The humans stood tall, bloodied but alive, weapons still glowing. The guards lay scattered, broken dot in the command chamber. The leader stared at the screen in disbelief. His claws clenched so tightly that sparks flew from the console. "They are dying," he whispered, "and yet they rise again. They rise every time." The scientist stepped back. "Maybe death does not hold them the way it holds us." The leader turned slowly, his eyes blacker than the void. "Then they are not weak creatures. They are the most dangerous life we have ever faced." He looked out the massive window at Earth, glowing blue and green against the dark. Billions of humans lived down there. Billions who carried the same fire, the same will to endure. "If two can bring chaos to my ship," he said softly, "what would billions do to our world?" No one answered. The silence itself was the answer. Back in the corridor, the soldier and the woman reached the door to the engine core. They leaned against each other, too weak to stand alone, but together they were unbreakable. The woman whispered, "They wanted our secret." The soldier pressed the control panel, his blood dripping onto the alien metal. He smiled with grim defiance. "Then let's give it to them." The doors opened with a hiss, revealing the glowing heart of the alien ship. The humans stepped inside, their weapons raised, their eyes blazing with fire. The leader watched from his screen, and for the first time in his life, he felt true terror. Humans were not prey. Humans were the storm. And the storm had only begun. The engine room glowed with blinding blue light. Strange tubes ran through the walls, pulsing like veins. The air vibrated with a deep hum, the sound of power flowing through the alien ship's heart. The soldier and the woman stepped inside, their bodies weak, but their eyes hard with fire. They leaned on each other for strength, weapons clutched tight. "This is it," the soldier whispered. "The core. If we control this, we control the ship." The woman nodded, her breath heavy. "Then let's finish it." Behind them, the doors slid open with a hiss. A squad of alien guards stormed in, their armor shining, weapons raised. The leader's voice echoed from the speakers above, "You will not win. You bleed. You suffer. You cannot fight forever." The soldier raised his weapon. Maybe not forever, but long enough. Blue fire burst from his gun, striking the first guard. The woman followed, her shots sharp and precise. The air filled with explosions and screams. The aliens fired back, beams of light cutting through the chamber, but the humans moved like shadows, refusing to fall. The leader watched from the command chamber, his claws digging into the console. Every guard he sent fell. Every weapon failed. 2 broken humans were tearing his empire apart. "Impossible," he whispered. "They should be dead. They are already dead." But the screens showed the truth. The soldier charging forward, his face covered in blood, yet still fighting. The woman, barely standing, yet still aiming with deadly focus. The guards fell one by one, until the chamber fell silent again. The humans stood in the center, bodies trembling, but eyes blazing. The soldier turned to the glowing core. "We can end this." The woman placed her hand on his shoulder. "Not just end it. We can send them a message." "How?" he asked. She pointed to the control console near the core. Strange symbols glowed across it. "If we overload it, the ship will collapse. But before that, we can broadcast to every alien on board." The soldier's lips curled into a grim smile. "Then let's show them what humans really are." They moved to the console, pressing buttons, forcing the alien systems to obey. The hum of the engine grew louder, the blue light brighter. Suddenly, the speakers crackled. The leader's voice roared, "Stop, do this and you will die with us." The woman laughed weakly. You don't get it. We were ready to die the moment you took us. But we don't die easy. That's your mistake. Her words carried through the ship as the broadcast spread. Every alien on board heard them. The sound of a human voice, shaking but fearless. The soldier leaned close to the speaker. His voice was low, steady, dangerous. You wanted to study us. Here's your lesson. We don't need every organ. We don't need perfect bodies. All we need is the will to fight, and that will never die. The broadcast echoed through every corridor. Aliens stopped running, their black eyes wide with fear. They heard not weakness, but something deeper, something they could not understand. Human defiance. In the command chamber, the leader's claws shook. Cut the signal. He shouted, but it was too late. The humans had already taken control. The engine core roared louder, the walls trembling. Warning lights flashed across the consoles. They're going to destroy us. One alien whispered. No, the leader snapped, though his voice cracked. We are stronger, but deep inside, he knew the truth. Strength meant nothing against a species that refused to break. Back in the core, the woman's body swayed, weak from blood loss. The soldier caught her, steadying her. You don't have to stay, he said softly. I'll finish this. She shook her head. No, we finish this together. They pressed the final command. The ship shook violently, the floor splitting. Beneath them, sparks rained from the ceiling. The leader screamed into the speakers. Retreat! Retreat now! Aliens rushed to escape pods, their panic louder than the alarms. They no longer thought of victory. They thought only of survival. The humans had turned the hunters into prey. The soldier and the woman stood by the glowing core, their faces lit by the rising fire. The ship groaned, collapsing from within. The soldier smiled faintly. They'll never forget this. The woman closed her eyes, whispering, Good, let them remember. Let them fear. A final explosion ripped through the chamber. Light consumed everything. From orbit, Earth's night sky lit up with a sudden flash as the alien ship tore itself apart. Pieces burned through the atmosphere, falling like meteors into the ocean. On Earth, people looked to the sky in shock and wonder. They did not know the full story. They did not know the names of the soldier and the scientist. But they saw the fire raining down, and they knew one thing. Humanity had survived. And somewhere, in the shadows of space, the surviving aliens whispered to each other, their voices trembling. They do not die. They endure everything. They are the storm. The leader, hidden in an escape pod, stared at the glowing Earth as it grew larger in his view. His black eyes were wide, not with hatred, but with terror. They will come for us, he muttered. They will never stop. For the first time, the mighty alien empire felt weak. For the first time, they knew what it meant to be hunted. And far below, on Earth, humanity stood unaware of the full battle, but stronger than ever, for in the silence of the stars, one truth had been written in fire. Humans could not be broken. Humans could not be killed so easily. Humans would always fight. The sky above Earth was quiet after the explosion. The alien ship had burned in the atmosphere, its remains scattered across the ocean. To the people on the ground, it looked like victory. The lights had vanished, the danger seemed gone. Families hugged, soldiers cheered, and leaders spoke of peace. But in the shadows, the war was not over. Far out in space, beyond the reach of Earth's satellites, a fleet drifted in silence. Hundreds of alien ships waited, their dark hulls blending into the black. The leader's escape pod docked with the nearest vessel. As he stepped inside, his body trembled with rage and fear. He slammed his claws against the console. 2 humans destroyed my ship. 2. They were weak, broken, yet they burned everything I commanded. The officers around him bowed their heads, silent. None dared speak. The leader's voice grew low, dangerous. We thought them simple, fragile. We were wrong. They fight beyond reason. They fight even when death is certain. This must be studied." He turned to the vast fleet outside the window. His black eyes narrowed. "We will not invade with force again. We will invade their minds, their cities, their faith. They will not see us coming. And when they rise to fight, it will already be too late." Back on Earth, the ocean carried fragments of alien metal to the shore. Soldiers collected the strange pieces, unsure what secrets they held. The soldier's helmet washed up on the sand, burned but intact. A young boy picked it up, staring at the strange marks scratched into its side. He whispered to himself, "They were here." In a hidden bunker far inland, generals and scientists studied what little information they had. Reports spoke of the explosion, but no one knew the humans' final actions. The soldier and the woman were gone, their names unspoken, their sacrifice unrecorded. "They saved us," one scientist whispered. "And no one will ever know." But one man in the room did know. An older officer, silent until now, stood and cleared his throat. His eyes were sharp, filled with a secret weight. "They will know," he said. Because this was not the end. The way the ship fell, the way the explosion spread, it wasn't destruction. It was a signal, a message sent into space. The room froze. What kind of message? A general asked. The old officer's voice was grim. A warning. Or a call. Meanwhile, far above, among the stars, the fleet stirred. The leader sat alone in his chamber, replaying the humans' final broadcast. The soldier's voice echoed. "We don't need perfect bodies. All we need is the will to fight." The leader's claws shook as he listened again and again. Fear battled with fury inside him. Finally, he whispered to himself, "If they will not break, then we will make them destroy themselves." On Earth, nights grew restless. People reported strange lights in the sky, whispers in the dark. Radios caught signals that no one could explain, voices speaking in broken human words. At first, the world dismissed them as rumors. But deep underground, governments grew nervous. The woman's journal, found in the wreckage, revealed her final notes. Her handwriting was shaky, but her words clear. "They will return. Not with fire, but with shadows. Trust no silence. Watch the skies." The soldier's last belongings carried another mystery. A small device, alien in shape, still hummed faintly. No one could open it. No one could understand it. But when left, in a dark room, it glowed, projecting an image of stars farther than Earth had ever mapped. One scientist stared at it for hours before whispering, "It's a map. And they're not done with us." The fear began to spread quietly. Leaders planned in secret, armies trained without reason given. To the public, the war was over. To those who knew the truth, it had only just begun. One night, as storm clouds rolled over the coast, a fisherman at sea looked up and froze. Among the thunder, among the flashes of lightning, he saw it, a massive shadow moving in the clouds. Not a plane, not a storm. Something darker. He whispered, his voice trembling, "They're back." But when the lightning faded, the sky was empty again. Only waves and rain remained. On the other side of the world, the leader of the fleet stood. Before his army of officers, his voice carried through the massive hall. "They believe they are safe," he said coldly. "They believe two of their kind destroyed us. But they are blind. We have seen their strength. We have tasted their defiance. And so, we change. We adapt. We will not strike their walls. We will strike their hearts." A roar of agreement echoed through the alien chamber. But even as his words filled the fleet, the leader could not erase the image burned into his mind. Two dying humans, standing against his empire, refusing to fall. That vision haunted him, sharper than any weapon, on Earth. The boy who had found the helmet sat on the shore every night, staring at the stars. He traced the scratches on the metal with his finger, over and over. He didn't know why, but he felt they were important. One evening, under the pale moon, he finally understood. The marks were not random. They were words, carved in shaky human hands. Fight until the end. The boy's eyes widened. He whispered, "It's a message, for us." He didn't tell anyone. He only kept the helmet hidden, close to him, as if waiting for the day it would matter, because deep inside, even a child could feel it. The war was not finished. Above the clouds, beyond the stars, the silence of space grew heavy with waiting. The aliens prepared, the humans rebuilt. And the memory of two voices, the soldier and the woman, echoed across both worlds. A whisper carried through the dark, not of fear, but of warning. This is only the beginning.